Wonder Woman issue 750, legacy numbering for life. We we will work our way through. Normally I tell you the creators at the start, but because this has a bunch of stories with different creators, we'll just discuss them as we go.
And let's see if Pete remembers to do them all this time.
Every
time there's one of these books, he forgets one or two of them, especially if the credits are at the end.
Yeah. I don't really care if I do or don't. No, I mean, I'm making no promises about this.
So professional.
Do you know what? I'll just tell you them all now because there's a table of contents page. So I'll just do them now.
So I was waiting for him to see that.
I know.
And then
Me too.
he found it.
Yeah. So the first story, which we will not talk about, none of us read, I don't think, was a Steve Orlando story because it's the finale of the current book's ongoing story. I will admit, skimming through it as I was getting to the next story, I will say the art looked quite nice from Jesus Marino, and I was like, I miss Wonder Woman.
A little bit. A little bit.
But then we have From Small Things, Mama, from Gail Simone, writing with Colleen Duran on art. And then we're going to have The Interrogation from Mariko Tamaki, writing, and Elena Casagrande on art. Never Changes by Greg Rucka, with art by Nicholas Scott. Oh, baby. We'll talk about that one. To Leave Paradise by Cami Garcia, with art by Phil Hester. Then we have Emergency Visit with Sharon Hale and Dean Hale, writing, with Riley Rosmo on art. To Me is the Bombshells one, written by Margaret Bennett, with art by Laura Braga. Always is Vita Alea, writing, with Amanke Nahilpin on art. And then we have the final story, which is A Brave New World, written by Scott Snyder and art by Brian Hitch. So there's in case I forget, I'm going to probably mention them as we go anyway, but I'll just in case I forget any later. That's your creative teams. I'm just skimming through this first story because it's easier.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we feel about this as a total issue, though, as like an anniversary kind of big milestone issue?
I feel like it's kind of hit or miss. I don't know if because I don't have the attachment to Wonder Woman like I did even for Batman with Detective and Superman, definitely for Action 1000. However, like the Bombshell story made me want to go back and revisit Bombshells.
It's real good.
I'd never read that. Yeah, and I like the vibe of that story.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. Obviously,
I think it is because obviously a lot of these are like continuations of past stories, like Rucka's very much is a continuation of his work. Gail Simone's is a continuation of hers. Bombshells is Bombshells.
Yeah, we got some obviously pin-ups here or there as well as we go. The Travis Moore one in particular is quite nice. Moore.
It reminds me of a Star Wars poster. Like,
I can see that.
Who's that painter?
Can't remember.
It's like Drew something.
Streisand.
Thank you.
Struzan. Yeah, it looks like this is a Drew Struzan for the movie.
Yeah,
like
I can see it.
I like it a lot.
Now I will give bonus points to anyone because the first story is the Gail Simone one with the little kid who has the flowers powers.
Yep.
This was a short story in another like anthology issue, and I can't for the life of me remember what the book was, but it was something we've read in this show.
Was it?
Yeah, because they introduced like her having these powers. This is a direct sequel to a short story that Simone did for another big issue. I don't know if it was. It might have been like a Wonder Woman special, maybe like the first couple of years of Rebirth, or it might have been one of their holiday specials. I'm not sure, but it was one we read on this show because that's the only reason why I know who this character is. Because I immediately went, "Hey, this was Simone's last thing."
The debut
I'm looking
was
for it.
Wonder Woman's 75th anniversary special in December 2016.
There you go.
I do not remember that issue, to be honest with you.
No. In the story, this girl with flower powers, her name's Peony, she saves people from a fire, and one woman comes to help her, and she basically, is like, I want to be a hero just like you. You do the right thing no matter what. And then Wonder Woman's like, well, you also inspire me because you're still fresh and new, and they invite her. The girl's parents invite her to like a picnic outside, and then as she's bonding with the parents over like, you have a very special child.
Maybe don't let her go join the Teen Titans. They're a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, like let her be a kid. Like, yes, she wants to use her power, and the parents are like, I don't know if we have the decision because she wants to do this. This is who she was even before she had her powers.
Yeah, Wonder Woman has mac and cheese. The end. That was it.
And then her shark dies.
Oh yeah, our Megalodon shark died.
Gail Simone gave her a megalodon like that she bonded with, like most people would bond with a dog or a cat, which
that
I thought
was a
that's
thing.
pretty cool.
I think in her run, because I've heard this before. Yeah.
Gotcha. So she comes to let her know that the shark died, and then she Wonder Woman goes to the roof. The girl comes up and gives her a special flower that's that she names Big Sister.
Yeah, she claims it's in her colors, but that's more orange than red, and I'm not having it.
Yeah. Well, if you make it red, yellow, and blue, it's too much like Superman. Like,
show me the orange on Wonder Woman.
Orange stands in for gold all the time. It's a stand-in.
There's yellow there as well for the gold.
Well,
but then it's Superman colors. Just to differentiate it, it's fine.
And then we get two pinups of by Liam Sharp, which that looks phenomenal. And then the Lou Pacino,
which is gorgeous.
I need this as a poster. Like this, it's all got Diana from the Amazons.
Travis Moore's still winning for me at this point out of the pinups.
I'm going with Lou Pacino so far.
Yeah. So then we get to a story that I really, really liked. The interrogation with Tamaki and
if they want to give Tamaki the ongoing book, I mean,
please.
Has Tamaki done much Wonder Woman? I feel like
No, she's done Supergirl being super, and obviously I've also loved X-23 by her, but this is the first time.
Not too much. Yeah, I think she's done like small stuff like this, but I don't know if she's done other.
It's the first time I remember her writing Wonder Woman.
Or
sure.
Yeah, well, or if they wanted to give her a Black Label light being super, but for Wonder Woman, I think that not to do the origin or anything again, but that same kind of vibe of her in modern society and whatnot. I think that'd be cool. But no, this story is Diana looks like she's being interrogated, and they're really pressing her on if she did the right thing or not. Right, running in like maybe your presence caused more trouble.
I almost felt they were accusing her at one point of like almost causing things so she could be a hero. Yeah. Like she's always there early because she's what she wants these things to happen so she can play hero. But the twist of the story is that this is actually Ares, and it's actually him that's being interrogated because it turns out to be a simulation, and then Ares realizes that he's in this digital prison.
And he tries to attack her, which I really like this pivot that they've made from Wonder Woman. That when I started reading comics, she was very much the joyful warrior that carried a sword, right? And that's a cool vibe. But lately, they've had her drop her sword, and she has a shield and a lasso, and she's much more of a defender than like an attacker. And here, I like it here that she doesn't really fight with Ares as much as basically ropes and dopes him, has him punch himself out.
It reminds me of the diplomat Diana.
So. Yeah. So
I think they're losing the sword and shield. No, I'm not gonna say permanently, but they're not in the book.
No.
It's this weird coincidental timing with the movie where she hasn't got them in that either. But seems to have just come about organically.
And I like that if we're going with this new timeline of Wonder Woman, like even in the movie where she's seen what weapons do, right? Like mankind at their worst, and she doesn't want to add to it. So when she decides to take the noble warrior path. But no, and I thought this was a lot of fun. I like the Casa Grande art. I'm trying to find out what else Casa Grande's been in that I remember.
Yeah, we've definitely read.
Oh yeah, she's definitely done stuff. Since we've been on the show.
I really think that her style fits Wonder Woman a lot. Like the beginning of the story.
Aries.
Yeah, well, the side profile of Diana looked a little wonky at first, but other than that, it looks good. Like the expressions and layouts and stuff. What were you gonna say, Pete?
What I'd say about this story is I actually, ultimately, when I got to the end of it, I didn't think the story itself actually amounted to much, but I enjoyed reading it the entire time because A, the art was good, but B, because I felt like the voices for the characters and the way that the dialogue was paced felt really good and natural. So it made me want Tamaki to write a lot of Wonder, even though I don't think this story, this suffers from you've got 6 to 10 pages in an anniversary issue, and you don't really have much time, so you essentially don't have much of an actual progression to do. You have like one little twist, and that's basically it. And it didn't really feel good. I think there's very few in this issue that kind of rose above being like a little spotlight thing beyond and actually told a story.
And and that's my big issue with this as a tie, is that's what I meant why I don't have that same connection to Wonder Woman like I do to Batman and Superman, which kind of sucks just because the character's been so up and down since I've been reading comics. And here, I mean, here it mimics that, I feel, a little bit. But after that, you have the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez pinup, which is pretty good. I like how sturdy Diana looks here. Like
it's solid, I always,
I like.
I love that. I love. She looks so sturdy. I love it.
She does. Like it reminds me of Darwin Cooks in New Frontier. How when she stands up and she's taller than Superman.
See when see if someone's not sturdy, does that mean you can just walk up and like push them and they'll fall over? But if you try and push Diana though, she'll just like, no, I'm sturdy. Like,
well, if you try and push Diana, she's just not gonna move, and then just pick you up and move you.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I've seen some versions of Wonder Woman where she looks like a bikini model. I'm like, that's not really what warriors are shaped like. Like this, I buy her, here leading an army in
It's worth mentioning though that this pinup does have the sword and the shield. I mean, I know it's not a pinup in that story, but some of the pinups do.
Yeah, a lot of pinups do. I think they're just whatever, just random pinups.
Yeah, and you got,
even some of the stories have them.
Yeah, you got Evely after this.
Yeah, that does not. That was pretty cool though too, because it has it's like a collage of great moments. Like she even put in what looks like the trench scene from the movie, right up at the corner. And then all the little girls in the Wonder Woman garb, it's real cool.
I like it. It's really different to all the other pinups.
Yeah, it is, and just the way that it's sepia toned, and then her colors really pop on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get to probably the main event of the book, which is.
I was just gonna say
this story takes place later.
Yes.
Yep.
It just says later. That is very vague. Yeah. And it's basically Diana's getting Cersei to do something. We don't know what yet. And she's like, "Well, I want payment." And she's like, "I can pay you." No, I want something personal. And Diana's going to give her the lasso. She wants the lasso. She wants the perfect. And we find out that this is actually to basically save Cheetah. This is to bring Barbara Ann back. She's going to give over the lasso to bring Barbara Ann back, which is I immediately felt kind of the weight of that. And I was almost wondering, because if this is out of continuity, I was almost expecting it to work, and she actually gives it up and she gets Barbara Ann back. Sadly, it hits me with the gut punch, and this is the one out of the whole book where I genuinely felt like a story. Like I felt like I got an up and a down, a twist, and then felt like it had a point at the end.
Also, it has a single best art moment in the book as well, which there's a lot of good art in this book. There's stacked.
Is this
is Nicholas Scott, of course.
Yes, is this the 2-page spread with Cheetah lunging at Wonder Woman? Because that looks really nice.
That's great. I think honestly, the single best moment is just the panel where Cheetah says her name, and it's just the close up on the teeth.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And that looks incredible.
You can hear the hiss.
Yeah, and the grin as she says it, she knows what she's doing.
Well, but the setup there too, with just say your name and she looks disappointed. Like she knows that Diana's trying, and she knows that it's what she's gonna do. I also like that it takes place at Mardi Gras, right, where it's a time where people let themselves go, right, because they're celebrating. And she goes to Cersei, and Cersei's throwing the beads into the crowd. Yeah. And Diana's like, "We shouldn't do that." She's like, "Well, why not?" She's like, "Well, they're illusion. Like you're basically messing with people."
And she's like, "Who cares? Let them have fun."
Right.
I kind of see a point on this one.
Well, no, I do, but just for that story, and then to see where she's at there, and then when she gives the lasso back when it doesn't work, she goes, "Well, no, I gave it to you. I'm honoring the deal." She goes, "Yeah, but I can't do that. Like it's and it ends with it makes no sense." And Cersei's like, "Well, the heart really does." And Diana says, "I'll try again." And Cersei goes, "I know." And so I like what Tynan's doing with Cersei. But this feels like a different character than what we're getting on Titans.
Again, it does say it takes place later, so I'm okay with that. So it's there's some growth to be had from where Cersei is now to get to here. Yeah.
That said, there's also the whole moon motif is there with Cersei.
Yeah.
When they meet and whatnot. So if you ignore the rest of the stuff, right, and you were only reading Rucka's Wonder Woman, this place is perfect.
Yeah.
Ends and whatnot.
Well, so. I mean, obviously I like it as a capper to that run, but I think for me this is just a really simple, sad story of Diana gives up the most important thing to her in terms of possession to save her, and ultimately why it fails is because Barbara Ann just doesn't want to be saved anymore, and that's what makes it sad. And
that's the title never changes.
Yeah, but likewise, Diana at the end says, "I'm never going to stop trying either." So like it works for both of them. It's got that double meaning there.
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah. So
like it's almost as if Rucka is like a supreme level talent and just understands Diana on a level that few do. I
mean, hell, if you're even forgetting the character specifically, just this idea that by the end of this story, what it does is that it reestablishes and upholds what these two characters are, and for better or worse, and why that feels both good and bad at the same time.
And it really moves Barbara Ann into that. That's her arch, right? You know, Batman has Joker, Superman has Lex, and Wonder Woman has Cheetah. And instead of it just being like Cheetah's I feel like a cast aside most of the time up until Rebirth. Like, yeah, she's there. This really drives it forward. Like, it's a personal.
You could argue that Cheetah's maybe more of a parallel to Two-Face than Joker.
Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, this one's more personal, much like Joker's personal and Lex's personal. Like, they're two sides of the same coin.
I guess what I mean? The way I'd put it is that Cheetah's the high-profile one enough that feels like the nemesis, so that's why you put her next to Joker and Lex. But in terms of actually how the character functions, it's actually much closer to Two-Face, and it's this fallen ally who you think maybe could be redeemed someday, but sadly might never be. Like, it's in terms of like how it actually functions.
I can feel she feels both, and that's why Wonder Woman's Rogue Gallery needs a bit of a refresh. I feel too, because you have Ares, you have Circe, you have Cheetah, and Kale.
You got Dr. Psycho, you got Silver Swan, you got...
Yeah, those are B tier though, let's be honest.
But see, to me, Silver Swan's more what you're talking about with the Harvey Dent-ism.
Sure. Yeah.
The failed relationship, and Silver Swan holds her responsible for what had happened, and there's a dissociative personality there too. But either way, I feel like Cheetah is her arch and my favorite Wonder Woman villain, and we all know,
I'm shocked.
So yeah.
But
yeah, that's
totally
easily the
shocked.
strongest story in this special.
Yeah.
Yeah, next one, we go on Diana's reading stories of the past, and she's talking about... This is basically just a prequel story that's about her fantasizing about what the rest of the world is like, and how everyone there doesn't really care and wants to forget it, but she's the only one who's never seen it, so she's constantly thinking about it. And it ends with the, Steve's plane landing, as you do. So this is one by Cami Garcia, with Phil Hester on the art.
And Cami Garcia is getting work wherever she can, and I really like that. Whether it's the Joker Harley Criminal Sanity, the Raven and the Beast Boy stuff with I always forget his name. He is my favorite Starfire too. Piccolo.
Yeah.
She has those graphic novels she's doing these smaller stories in here, and she's another one that I wouldn't mind seeing.
So it's growing the talent, isn't it? It feels like, okay, this is someone being groomed for the higher ranks.
Yeah, for an ongoing at some point. Yeah, I will say between this and Joker and Harley, I think Joker and Harley is better. Maybe it's an unfair comparison because it's just a short little thing. I'm
just saying, like she's getting more high profile. Like she started, the first thing I remember her name being attached to was that Raven book, right, which is definitely geared more towards young adult, and now she's heading more towards the mainstream.
I guess what I'm saying is I think this story is just fine because it's ultimately just when to
honestly, this is my second favorite in the book. I think it helps that I really like Hester's art. After Nicholas Scott, my second favorite art in the book.
Yeah,
I like the comparison with the Hawk, right, with the Falcon.
Yeah,
that how do you know he'll come back? It's like, well, if he doesn't come back, then we just know that's it. And I feel that that's her with
yeah, a detail there I'd add on there is when she's talking about that, she says, if the Hawk gets a higher calling from above, then it has a different purpose that doesn't belong here. So she'll be sad but happy for it because it's got something else to do, essentially, that's more important. Yeah. I felt like it didn't really... it was like this window into a time in Diana's life, but it wasn't really much of a story, I guess. So I didn't really feel that satisfied by it by the end.
It was fine. Like it's good. I do like the Hester art though. The Hester art's very old school. The hard lines.
Like
that's good.
Classical fantasy comic is what I would think of with Hester. And I think that works for this time period of Wonder Woman, especially.
Sure. Yeah. When she's running on the columns, I think that's the high point of the art with him. With Hester's art here. Yeah.
Next story is Emergency Visit. This is the one by the Hales with Riley Rosmo art. I have to say, every time I look at another Riley Rosmo book or story, I like his art less and less.
I couldn't
too,
read
dude.
this. I read the first page. I was like, can't do it. Sorry. I just skipped through it.
So I read it. Guy shows up, and okay, that was the highlight. I like the vibe of the story, and I feel with another artist, it would have been better. I still think that this definitely feels like a filler story. That's just an anniversary issue.
Yeah,
it has no weight. It's
just to say what the story is. It's Diana. Basically being called back to Themyscira. Guy calls her and says, "Hey, it's just someone Hippo something," and she's like, "Hippolyta, my mother, what?" Called from Themyscira. There's some sort of Hydra, and she goes back to help. And basically, they've intentionally let the Hydra out because this is the only way that Diana comes back. And it's actually kind of funny this coming into place right after the last story, which talked about her, possibly leaving and never coming back because she has a better calling.
Right.
And this was Themyscira going, "No, we want her back, damn it!" So that's raise a flare.
And selfish in comparison.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I like Ian Rucka's run so much about her not being able to go back. Like, she had to sacrifice her life on Themyscira to go make a difference in the world of man. Right? That makes that decision so much. So when she can go and come as she pleases, here it just makes her seem like oh, Mom, I got better things to do than come home. I don't know. I felt kind of out of character for Diana.
Yeah, I will say I've not hated everything I've seen Rosmo do, but I feel like the more I see his work,
Rosmo started off because I think he was on Monster Men, right?
Yeah, and it was fine.
And doing those big, contorted creatures and the dark stuff, it worked. Yeah, and as soon as you put something in the light like this.
And Batman's Shadow, I thought was fine as well, but
yeah. This, not so much.
This, I wasn't really keen on what I read from Martian Manhunter with his art.
No. Even the Hydra, to draw, he's got a creature, but I even thought his Hydra was just kind of
Daylight is not his friend, is it?
Yeah.
No.
So I still like his faces. His faces are these weird contusions of things. I don't, Diana has this thing where it feels like her hair's just stuck to her head, so her head just looks like a weird doll head.
And her shoulders, it always has the same I'm just flicking through it now and see it always has the same circle around her shoulder that it falls on.
Yeah.
It doesn't move, it just stays on that.
Yeah, and she's like ridiculously bulky in a way that just doesn't feel proportioned, where
do you know what? See, that's something Matt was talking about earlier about feeling sturdy, and that would be fine if the other Amazons felt like that. But she's
though.
Noticeably larger than all the other Amazons.
Well, yeah, and she has an alien face when Rosmo draws her too.
Yeah,
it's too pointy at the chin, too rounded at the head, or at the top of the head. It creeps me out. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a Rosmo face. Is what you described.
Yeah, it's a Rosmo face. Yeah. So I'm going to be the bad guy here and say I didn't really like the Bombshell story that much.
I loved it.
I got nothing from it. It felt like it was just a page after page of different people describing what Diana means to them, and I just didn't really feel like it.
Isn't that kind of the whole point of these issues? That's what we've got one of those stories in action, and Detective. It's hey, look what this character means.
Yeah,
I get it, but
and I like that we get the Supergirl saying I have no connection to Bombshells, right? I like the art. I got those covers back in the day, but I had never read the proper book. But so when I see the Soviet Supergirl, I'm like, oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
And just the fact that, of course, Wonder Woman's the one to go over to her and console her, and kind of explain about grief. They're like, yeah, grief's good because grief means that you still remember that person and they still mean a lot to you. Or the story with Mara and how it kind of teases oh yeah, she was my first love, and is was that actual love or is that platonic? Sisterly love, it left a lot there, and the art I thought is great. I love the style of art. It's Manipul-esque, a little bit.
In the line work, yeah.
Yeah, and even in the colors a little bit,
yeah, I can see that. I think they're the colors are a little bit cleaner than I typically associate with Manipul.
Yeah, because Manipul's colors are a lot more watercolor. These are more muted. But almost, I don't want to say pastel. It's not pastel, but no. But yeah, I really love this story. This is probably my second favorite after the Rucka one.
Yeah.
It ends on the final of her and her Rosie the Riveter look, which I think is a really cool look. Hope we get to see this going forward a little bit more.
For the record, I like the art. But I'm not a fan of the bombshells style, the look. I just don't like the designs that much. Batwoman's baseball thing's fine, but I don't really like the rest of them.
Yeah. Well, the Wonder Girl, the Wonder Girls, that part was cool too. I like what that meant about the
legacy
when the U.S. Well, not just the legacy, but like them forming up because of the Japanese internment camps and them standing up together because of the influence of Wonder Woman. That's a really cool. Like, I love how they played with history there. But like the Supergirl look is actually based off of an old pinup painting.
Yeah.
And stuff. So like, I feel if you like pinup stuff, then the designs don't bother you. I love pinup art. Like, it's fantastic. It's of an era, and whatnot. So
I've got a fantastic pinup Ivy on the wall behind me.
Yeah. I have a slight one. It's done in like an old pulp style cover.
Yeah.
Right there. And then Laura Braga. That's another name that I feel like we've read.
Oh yeah. She's popped up recently.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see where, but if their art looks like this, then I want to read more of it because this is my style.
Yeah. No, they are solid. I think the actual art, craft is great. I just don't like the style of bombshells. I know I'm the grumpy, one here, but
you're wrong. Counterpoint, you are wrong. That's where it is. She deceased, A Good Day to Die, #1.
There you go.
And then Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica, which I read the first 2 issues of, because of course I did.
I'm pretty sure she popped up in solicits recently for something else as well.
Maybe,
but
a lot of bombshells. So that's good. Wonder Woman 51. Should we read that?
Yeah.
Or did we stop reading
51.
by then?
That might have been in the chunk that we weren't reading.
Yeah.
We read Robinson for a while though, so we might have still made it to 50. I don't know.
Anyway. Is that the Orlando bit in between though? That's an Orlando issue.
Oh, is it? Okay, then we didn't then.
So that was like the one, he had that a couple of issues in between, didn't he?
Yeah. So the next story is Vita Alea. This is a Silver Swan story. It's her.
It's just Ayala.
Ayala, sorry.
Yeah, Ayala.
So she's in hospital. She's getting care. It's basically her just in retrospect talking about how she's fighting Wonder Woman, how angry she got. It's basically just recapping like every Silver Swan kind of story it is.
Yeah. But from Silver Swan's point of view, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Normally we don't get that.
Yeah, the ending's basically, back in the present day of the story, Diana does show up to visit her, and that was all her thing, that you never showed up, you left me behind. So it does kind of neatly feel like a sequel to the actual Silver Swan story that Robinson did when he was writing the book. It seems to
probably
fit
the height of Robinson's.
Yeah, I enjoyed that arc. For what it's worth, out of his stuff, I enjoyed that arc. So, it's not much the whole say about it really. The art's fine. Not the best in the book by any means, but
it's solid enough. You know, it's nothing special. I think the action looks pretty good.
Yeah.
There's not much of it, admittedly, but the bits of it that are there, I think, look pretty good.
And that leads us to the final story. And we heard before this that the Scott Snyder story was going to sort of reestablish like her first appearance in the world. And I mean, I don't necessarily think they're setting up for Scott Snyder taking on Wonder Woman at some point, but it did cross my mind as I was reading this that, maybe the reason why he's doing this is that maybe they've got some sort of plans for him. Because, he's ending Justice League soon, so I mean...
Yep. I think the big hint's the last panel.
Yeah. So this is Scott Snyder and Brian Hitch, and it's the World's Fair. The president, there's an attempt made in the president's life. And again, Hitch, I don't know what's going on with Hitch, but for some reason he's gotten better in the last couple of years.
This is Hawkman level.
Yeah.
I read this and went, oh, yeah.
But this was the thing, even before we got to anything interesting, though, it was just the president and that talking in a room, and I thought, this looks good. Where did Hitch get this good?
I love American history and the history of the presidents, and FDR, I understand a lot of people's favorite presidents. He led through World War II and out of the Great Depression and whatnot. That said, I kind of want to see an FDR comic book appearance now, drawn by Hitch, because his FDR is fantastic. And like he draws the desk with the wheelchair and whatnot, just like
obviously you have the big moment where Wonder Woman blocks the explosive, and we have that panel of her Like she's got the cross arms, but the flames are kind of just dissipating around her, so it almost looks like her hair's the fire. It's a really nice panel.
It's nice.
And she has the real short hair that we associate with the original, the Molten Marston.
Yeah, the Golden Age stuff.
And which I thought that was cool. And yeah, her surrounded by the doves.
One of my favorite things that I've really that doves page that I'm talking about, actually, that full page spread is
the setup there is talking about like you hit the button and the doves come out because doves represent peace, and then we get it here and they're surrounding her and you're like, oh man. Damn, Snyder, you are good when you want to be.
Yeah, it's good. No, I'm going to be honest. I think this is the best thing that I've read from Snyder in ages. I think this is actually a really well done little story. So something I've discovered that I really like in art, and it's between recent Supergirl issues and then this, is I really love good ripples in a skirt. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, when they get the ripples in the skirt right, it looks really good.
No, because it mimics motion and it makes the page feel alive.
It does.
I totally get it.
It's just that it was so specific as a thing that I that wasn't what I was guessing. It was. I thought he was going to talk about something like the digital layering maybe, or the colors, something general. I wasn't expecting ripples in the skirt.
It's just good. No. So let's get all those little shadows.
Well, because
it does look good. I'm not just going to dispute that. I was surprised that was what you picked up.
When you draw Superman's cape and it's just kind of flat and blobby, versus when they add the ripples, you're like, oh no.
There are some artists that can get away with it. With the flat cape, the really cartoony ones can get away with it.
Shelley's good, and it just kind of establishes that she, became this first hero. She's, doing some black and white panels lifting the train and all the rest of it.
She's now DC's Captain America. It's no longer Superman. It's definitely Wonder Woman.
And what Matt was saying earlier when I said, "Oh, maybe Snyder's doing a Wonder Woman thing," the ending kind of implies that he's going to do JSA instead, which will feature Wonder Woman as part of the JSA, because the ending is clearly Alan Scott with the Green Lantern ring. Watching on.
I'm okay with this.
Because Manhattan moved it the lantern back, so it lines up, and that made me stupidly excited.
Do you know what's so funny? Obviously, it was easy for us to get upset when Didio just flat out said, "Oh, Doomsday Clock's not in continuity because of this, and this." Yeah. The thing is, though, is there's lots of stuff that actually is following on from it, so it's this kind of weird middle ground, actually, where some stuff is actually in continuity from it.
It's where it is continuity, but technically not because of Doomsday Clock.
Right.
Yes.
But it's meta in that way that now we can accept it because we read Doomsday Clock.
Well, because the other one is that they revealed this week that JSA are going to show up in Shazam, and John's was like, yeah, straight from Doomsday Clock.
Do I need to catch back up on bloody Shazam?
You do.
Yeah, you do.
But not for this issue, but for that you might want to. Reading this, I was like, oh, wait, is this going to be Hippolyta? What?
I was thinking that as well, actually, but no, they're establishing this as Diana.
And then she goes, "Oh, my name's Diana." I was like,
but
shit.
What I was going to say though is, like, do you think they're actually teasing that Hitch is going to be the artist on GSA with Snyder?
Maybe,
because
sign me up.
He's definitely working on something.
Because he's off Hawkman now, right? So it's like
he's working on Batman's Grave at the minute, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's doing Batman's Grave for the next while.
So unless he's got leaked on it, because he was tweeting the other day about how he messed up the perspective on a single panel. And he spent like too long trying to fix it, and it wasn't working, and he hasn't got time to redo it. So he's just like, I'm just gonna have to leave it, and it's just gonna have to be in there as a mistake.
Oh no!
And it's like, try and spot it, you bastards.
Carl will try. Carl will try his best.
After his Hawkman run, and we saw all the different Hawks and whatnot, I want to see his Jay Garrick.
Do you know?
I want to see his Wildcat.
Do you know this? Like, I'm so disappointed in a way that I know I'm going to be annoyed at Snyder's GSA probably, but that's the thing. I actually think this little story here gave me hope because it doesn't feel overstuffed. It feels like he focused on the right things he needed to. It didn't feel like there was too much dialogue or anything like that. And I hope that this feeling, this tone that he has here of this golden era of, like, the dawn of superheroes carries over to his JSA.
Well, no, that's the key question about his JSA. Is it a golden age style, book in this time period, or is it present day JSA?
I don't mind either way. When I say that, I don't necessarily mean that it's set in that time. Just the idea of that was,
the vibe.
That's the vibe. That's the the legacy of it is what rings true.
I'm genuinely intrigued as to which one we think it will end up being. So I don't know.
Oh man.
It could go either way.
Before this, I'd have said absolutely present day. It'll be doing kind of like it'll be a continuation, so to speak, of the John.
I could see his story being set in the past, like his book, but when they pop up in Shazam and stuff like that, that's them now in present day. So I could see them doing it that way.
I'm just thinking of other characters I want to see Hitch draw now. So yeah, Our Man, you got Liberty Bell,
Stargirl.
like, yeah.
Well, Stargirl won't be there, I suppose, if it's
Starman. Although I don't like that Starman costume, it's real silly.
We can get a new costume.
Yeah, that's true. Give me the focus on that. What is it? It's like that you see it in World War II a lot. That it's almost like a double-breasted type thing. It's got the hooks on here. It goes across.
Yeah.
Give them one of those.
Apparently, a few of the other GSA members have 80th anniversaries coming up, either late this year or early next year. So it wouldn't surprise me if we at least get a GSA 80th anniversary kind of special to celebrate them all.
Maybe,
I could see that happening.
Spectre.
So that's going. So this is the weird thing. Usually when we did these as separate episodes, we won't do any more because they're just doing too many of them to justify doing the extra episodes. But we'd pick our favorite stories of this. I don't think we'll do that, but I mean I think it's pretty clear we all like the Rucka one the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously we won't pass judgment on the Orlando issue story because none of us read it. For obvious reasons.
No, I'm sure it's fine. And if you're enjoying that arc, I'm sure you enjoyed this because it was the finale.
I think
so.
The Rosmo one was definitely my least favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I read a page and just went, nope, skipping through it. Can't do it. I've got enough comics this week.
Yeah, it was a lot of books this week.
This is a long book anyway. Yeah. I'm good. I don't need to read this.
Outside the Rosmo art, I feel that the art really stood out in this one. Like from Hitch to who did the Simone one? I
can't remember now.
I can't remember either.
So go to table of contents. Someone.
It matched. Yeah.
Table of contents. Simone was Colleen Duran.
There you go.
There you go.
No, the art was, for the most part, I think the standard art on average was really good. Because, I mean, even though I didn't read the Orlando one, Jesus Marino from a glance looked really good. I think, obviously, Scott was at the top of the pile. Hitch was really good. Braga was good on the Bombshells one. Like, there was a lot of...
I really like Phil Hester.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's saying something that I would probably put Phil probably fourth. But still, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, like, no, for me, it's like Nicholas Scott, Hester, probably Braga, Hitch, Casagrande, There's a lot of good art in this book.
A lot of good art. It actually went in quite quickly, I thought, when I read it. I didn't feel like it was a chore to get through. And maybe skipping that first 20-page story was the key to that. But but that was still 70 pages. It wasn't like it was...
It wasn't short.
Yeah. But it went in fairly well enough. There was highs and lows, but that is Wonder Woman 750. We have to rate it, though. So, Matt, what are you giving 750?
I'm going to give this a... So we're minusing the main story and the Rosmo art. I'm going to give it an 8. I enjoyed the majority of the rest of it.
Yeah, Connor?
I'm going to give it a 7 because I didn't read 2 of the stories and I liked, all the others. But, there's very little I love that. So it's a solid issue for me.
I'm going to give it an 8. I'm not going to mark it against it for the first story because I didn't read it. Like, for me, it's just I'm not counting that when I rate this. And I like most of the rest. A couple really stood out as being great. My 2 favourites were definitely the Rucka and Scott Snyder ones, and I was not expecting that because Scott Snyder's been kind of hit and miss for me for a long time.